Our whole economy depends on transport. Almost all the planes, trains and automobiles that keep it running are powered by petroleum. So what if that fuel supply one day stops growing or even starts to decline? I'm off to Paris to meet the man who's responsible for working out if and when that moment will arrive. Though you're unlikely to have heard of him, he's one of the most powerful men on Earth. He's the chief economist of the International Energy Agency. Every year he publishes its World Energy Outlook. Most of the world's governments treat his reports as the petroleum gospel. I arrived on the day the new report was released. The information it contains is radically different to the projections it published last year. If the world's governments have been building their transport strategies on the wrong forecasts, we could all be in serious trouble. So I went to ask the chief economist, Fathi, what had changed and why. In the new report, you suggest that the rate of decline in the output of the world's oil fields will be about 6.7% a year. In last year's report, you said it's 3.7% a year. That's a major change, isn't it?
That's right. For the first time this year, we undertook a major study in the World Energy Outlook 2008. Namely, we look at 800 fields, the largest fields of the world, to see how they are going to decline, and we came up with the 6.7%.
So what was the 3.7% figure based on that was in your report last year?
It was mainly an assumption, a global assumption about the world's oil fields. This year, we look at the country by country, field by field, and we look at also onshore and offshore. It was very, very detailed. And last year, it was an assumption, and this year, it's a finding of our study.
But it seems extraordinary to me that you hadn't done that work before, that you'd made this assumption, which the whole world depended on, and yet you hadn't done that research which supported the assumption.
In fact, nobody has done that research, and this research we have done this year is the first time in the world, and this is the first publicly available data in that respect.
The governments of the world have been basing their transport infrastructure, which is totally dependent on oil,
That's right,
on the assessments produced by the IEA. Those assessments have now radically changed.
This year, compared to past years, we have seen that the decline rates are significantly higher than what we have seen before, but our line that we are on an unsustainable energy path has not changed and even became much more vocal this year.
Sure, it has. And the picture you painted in the past was far too optimistic. And yet, on that far too optimistic picture, businesses and governments have based their future growth plans.
I hope that you are right, that the governments are listening to us. I am not as optimistic as you are.
My government constantly says we don't need to create our own assessment because we rely totally on the IEA's.
I would consider this as a compliment, which I hope we deserve. But we told our governments, including your government, that the energy path we are following is an unsustainable one.